Here's what you missed on Phathead and Cande in the morning. Weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. on My Country 96.1.
My Country 96.1, Phathead, Cande Roth. Cande, it is September 11th, and
Yes.
you know it's interesting. Tell me if you feel the same way. It's not that the memory is any less, or I don't think about it, and here we are talking about it, and there's a lot of people affected. But with everything going on in the world this year, I'm going to be honest. The date snuck up on me. It really did.
September has snuck up on me completely, and it's almost half over.
Yes. Yeah, almost like it was last week where I'm like, oh my God, September 11th is next week, right? Did that happen to you?
It did happen to me, but then I kind of forgot. And then today I'm like, oh, right. Yes, it's September 11th. Yeah, so it hit me.
And this is why you got to talk about stuff like this, and you got to bring it up, and you have to go back and talk about the memories so you don't forget. And so,
I will never forget.
Absolutely.
I can't say every year I want to see everything over and over and over again because that becomes just too painful. But yes, I will never forget, ever.
Yes, I mean, I obviously can't speak for everyone. I'll speak for myself. I am... but I think this is the what most of society probably thinks. I don't necessarily want to turn on the TV tonight and see the planes hit the towers.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. I just want to remember those who were lost. I want to remember this is what happened to our country. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. You know, like stuff like that. But I really don't want to sit down and turn on the TV at 8 o'clock at night and watch a full recap. That is not where my head's at. You know?
Right. I agree with you. Completely. I barely listen to the news anymore.
Yeah, you know, I turn on the news less.
And that's for a different complete reason, but I barely listen to the news anymore.
I definitely turn on the news channels a lot less than I used to. Where were you, Cande, September 11th, 2001?
I was working at Jammin' 105 in New York City. I was working that morning. We were... it was just amazing because, you know, the first plane hit and we weren't quite sure what happened. And then, of course, when the second plane hit, there was no question. We were being attacked. And then we had huge windows down a hallway. It was all windows. You could see the Empire State Building. And we were saying, is that next? Of course, the lockdown began. I couldn't leave the building until 4:30 that afternoon. Yeah, it was scary. My kids were very frightened. We lost phone contact, cell phone service, had none of that. So, yeah, it was very scary because you didn't know what was going to happen. And now we know.
I was working at our sister station, Party 105, and I was doing afternoons at the time, and I was up late at night every night because we were out at nightclubs and we were doing a lot of that type of stuff. So I got woken up. It was 9 o'clock, 9 something. I got woken up by my sister Amy. And just as a side note, Amy's the one who calls me when there's news to disseminate, okay?
Got it.
This has been going on my whole life. Like when Amy calls, and if the first thing out of her mouth is, "Don't get crazy," but here's what's going on, I know I got to sit down because here it comes.
She knows you so well.
Right. So she said you got to turn on the TV, and what was interesting and why she was so interested to get me the news, I didn't realize at the time. My sister Dina worked at the Royal Bank of Canada, which was the building over from the World Trade Center. And I think as the story goes, she, you know, obviously they all left the building and she walked. And I think at the time she lived in New York City and she walked, I don't know, 6-7 miles.
I mean, there were people that walked to Queens that day. It was quite something, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I like a lot of people, I remember turning on the TV and, you know, trying to figure out what was going on and then being called into work and the rest, as they say, is history, but it'll never leave your mind.
Never.
And I think the one thing we can all agree upon and all remember about September 11th, 2001, it was, weather-wise, maybe the most glorious day ever.
Perfect. It was a perfect weather day. The skies were blue. It was gorgeous. Wasn't too hot. Perfect day.
Yeah. No
So,
humidity.
8:47.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Well, obviously, we'll be playing some songs today, and you'll see a lot of recaps and things on television throughout the weekend and tonight. But definitely listen out for our special music today, some patriotic stuff just to remember and pay tribute. My Country 96.1.
Phathead and Cande in the morning, weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. on My Country 96.1.